Discover the Women in Tech Trailblazers podcast, hosted by Tiffany Benitez. Here, the complexities of being a woman in the tech industry are unraveled through discussions on key issues, personal growth, and how to succeed despite systematic challenges. It's a source of empowerment and inspiration for all women at all stages of their tech careers. Welcome to Women in Tech Trailblazers. I am so excited to be back with each and every one of you, and even more excited about our topic today, as well as our guest speaker. You guys, it is no secret, you know my heart and passion is our next generation and continuing to bridge the gap and make sure that we continue to create space for them. So today's episode, we are here with an incredible girl in tech with the topic, Girls in Tech Leading the Way. I always like to integrate them into everything that we do for Women Plus in Tech, just to make sure, again, that they're getting visibility, that we're learning from them. They learn from us, but we learn just as much from them. And so I just love spending time with them. I'm excited today to introduce our guests. So without further ado, I am here to introduce Deerthi Karthik. She is a sophomore at Bentonville High School in Arkansas. She loves turning ideas into real projects that truly make a difference. She is the co-founder and president of Inspire Ed Next Up. It's a student-led nonprofit that organizes monthly workshops to help middle school students explore careers in STEM, leadership, and entrepreneurship. She is also leading two major Tech for Good initiatives. The first, Evergreen, is an AI-powered smart recycling system she's developing in collaboration with Tyson Foods, Trex, and the Bentonville School District to make sustainability fun and engaging in schools. The second is Pathos, which is a wearable device she's building with Gao-Shi Chauhan and Autism Involves Me that uses sensors and machine learning to detect stress and emotions in real time, helping individuals with neurodiversity in those high-pressure roles communicate better. She will soon, if that wasn't so much, oh my gosh, I swear, like, you're my hero. She will begin an internship soon with Abundia, a tech startup that connects local farmers with consumers through a digital platform, combining her interests in technology, sustainability, and business innovation. And beyond her ventures, Deerthi is actively involved in EAC, DECA, Tech for All, robotics, and the Mayor's Youth Council. She also enjoys researching how technology and ethics intersect, and her goal is to become a tech entrepreneur who designs creative, ethical solutions that make everyday life better for others. Deerthi, you are amazing. Your bio, like, seriously, just because I've only known you for a short time, but I can tell you that I've watched you walk through some of those things, and then seeing just this great list of all of the rest is incredible. So thank you for taking time out of your schedule to be here on the show with us. We are honored to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Ms. Benitez.
So, okay, the purpose of our podcast is to really, really focus in on topics that we as women and girls really don't talk about, that we really should, that kind of help give all of us space to kind of move and navigate and help each other. But the real meat of it is authenticity. And so we always ask every single guest when they come on for their definition of what authenticity means to you.
I believe that authenticity to me personally is always being true to oneself. Whenever I think of an idea or I'm going to talk to someone, I try not to create this model of who I want to be when I talk to that person, but be my fullest self and show my ideas and my experience, because I feel like you could be the second best version of anyone in this world, but you can only be the best version of yourself. So I might as well go ahead and do that.
I love that. Okay. And what wasn't in your bio, but I think is really incredible and people need to hear right away, is you're 15, correct?
Yeah.
So this is a sophomore, 15 years old, and just the fact that you're able to truly talk about what it means to be self and to be there's only one of you. I don't know. It's just really incredible. You're a shining star and an inspiration to so many of us. Okay, I talked a lot about some of the things that you're working on as I introduced you in your bio, but I kind of want to hear less about like your bio and kind of how that's set up, but I want to hear from you about your heart and some of the incredible accomplishments that you're working on right now with our community.
I really believe that when I create tech solutions, it's more of me just going into the community and talking to people and understanding that, hey, life would be much easier if we had this or that. And that's how Evergreen started. That's how Pathos started. That's how many of the other things I've been building has started. But I honestly believe tech itself is using the knowledge that we have and putting it into practical solutions. And most of the time I work this backwards, and that's how most of these came forward. So to answer your question, more than just like what I've created, I believe that the way I've been going through life, especially as a 15-year-old, still staying curious, still being a kid and understanding that, hey, this doesn't exist yet, but I still have my entire life to make it happen.
I think what's really cool is that I heard you say, like, you start with what the problem is, and you really can't understand a problem without building relationships. And I can tell you over my 23 years that I've been in technology, it all goes back to relationships. You can build all day long, but if you truly can't communicate and understand the needs of the people that you're building for, you end up building really great things that no one uses, right? So I just love to hear at like such an early age, you're not like, okay, I'm just out focusing on what's the new technology. You're focusing on like, in my community, where is there a problem? And then how do I use technology, right, to really help with solutions? I really love that. The reality is, Deerthi, you know this, but women across the nation, we are 28%. It's something that, my heart and mission, this organization is really focused on across the United States to really help drive some change in numbers. But I know that at 15, it's still an experience. And I'd like to just know, like, I know the adult experience I've walked through, but for you, have you had any challenges being a girl in tech or being a girl of color in tech? And how have you really worked to overcome them?
I feel like when you go into tech and you're just starting off, people already have a brand to how much you can do and make a box and be like, okay, don't worry about her. She can only go through this and do this. But I believe being a girl in tech, I actually had an advantage because I had so many people who told me that the knowledge that I could gain was only to an extent. So it led me to want to learn more, to break that box. When there is a barrier, there is something stopping you, that's when you want to do it the most. That's just human nature. And I feel like as a 15-year-old, as someone who is a teenager who is daring to do things like this, I really like that for now also. But more importantly, when I see the people in my school see guys in tech, for example, my best friend, she's in Ignite Technology, and most of the people there are guys, and she's like out of the three people in her class. But being that minority lets them have their own perspective and their own voice. So even though it is a less number, I believe that for right now, there's always a silver lining to that, and I like to see it in a positive way.
And I think we shouldn't run from what we're afraid of, right? Like sometimes it never feels good to be the only of anything, right? You can fill in the blank with whatever it is. But I do think that there's courage there. And I do think that there is diversity that's offered in being any type of the only in any situation. And I think that our girls need to continue to see people like you and Gauchi like really rise up and continue to move forward where you may be the only one. That's okay. I don't know why we always run from what we were afraid of instead of like running into, because it really ends up beautiful and something incredible. So I'm glad to hear you see you're kind of seeing that already. Also, let's talk about, you also have had incredible role models. Like we did a radio interview together not too long ago, and you talked a little bit about your mom, but talk to me about the power of truly seeing it to be it, and how has the positive females in technology that you've been surrounded with in your life, how has that helped you and encouraged you to believe that you have a place there?
My mom, I mean, I feel like the most talented person in technology I've ever seen is my mom. And she grew up in India. So when she did grow up, she didn't get like an English curriculum. So she got our like own mother language, and that's what she grew up with. And then she came here and she got hired for that talent. And when she did, she felt like she couldn't talk as much, like she couldn't do justice to those words, even though she had the talent and the substance behind it. But seeing her grow as I grew through those years, now she is doing the Sam Walton School of Business. She's doing her MBA. She's working on being a principal, which is like a really high role in tech. And all while she's supporting me, she's supporting my brother, she's supporting my family. And more importantly, instead of guiding me along the ways of tech, she's had like real friendly conversations, and just I learned so much from her just from talking to her. So having a role model at home has showed me that, of course, we're all just another human being, but there shouldn't be a boundary to what you can accomplish, no matter if it's in the workplace or at home.
I love that so much. I swear every time you talk about your mom, I just tear up a little bit because she's incredible. And I think as moms, sometimes we're always trying to figure out like, are we doing everything right? Is everything okay? And then we get to see like the fruits of our labors of our kids just turn into really incredible human beings. So yeah, you are definitely amazing. And kudos to your parents, your mom for sure, and definitely your dad on all they're doing. Okay, so you talked about, well, when I read your bio, you're involved in, it's called the Inspire Ed Next Up, correct? That's what it's
Yeah.
called.
Mhm.
And that's really where you guys are kind of turning around and working with middle school students to kind of provide that mentorship and get them kind of ready. So that's truly like a massive inspiration. Can you tell me, like, has there been a moment where you realized that the work that you were doing were truly inspiring those that are younger than you, especially young girls, to really go and pursue technology? Before we jump back in, a quick thank you to Women in Technology of Northwest Arkansas for being part of this journey. We cannot thank them enough. They continue to create space for women to grow, connect, and lead in tech. Let's get back to the conversation.
Well, so our very first event, we have like 3 to 4 events coming up, but our very first event was in technology, was web development and game development. And there was, I'm sure like she was 5 or 6, and it was for middle schoolers, but she came with her brother, and she was sitting there, and her dad was like, I have no idea what to do with her, but you guys are playing Legos. Can you go ahead and take her? So I sat down with her and I talked her through it, and obviously she was young, but I've always grown up, even with my parents, saying that age or gender or ethnicity, anything shouldn't be a boundary to what you can achieve. So I sat down, I talked her through it, and after she made like the project and she saw the end result, the happiness in her eyes and her willingness to learn even more at even such a young age, I feel like that really let me have like a full circle moment from where I started, exactly where she was, to going ahead and doing all of these projects and coming back and creating a nonprofit for kids like me growing up. That really inspired me to never stop, just because there are so many people out there needing this.
I absolutely love that. It kind of fuels you, right? Like it kind of, gets your passion really going. I think anytime you can really see the results of like, you do what you do because your heart, but when you can see that it's truly impacting people, it just kind of fuels you to keep going. So I absolutely love that. What do you think are some of the biggest challenges that girls face when entering any tech space, right? So let's kind of talk about the tech world overall from your perspective on where you are.
Mhm.
And how do you think that like us as current women leaders can really help you guys pave a smoother path?
I feel like when I entered in tech and when a lot of like my friends entered in tech, most of us didn't know much about like the very beginning to code, to like AI, what to use, what not to use. And like I said, I always started with the problem just because that's what got me introduced to tech, realizing that I can solve things using technology. But seeing back into like the current generation of women in tech, I feel like the best thing that I could ask for is probably like mentorship, just because I have so much mentors that are male, and obviously they are very talented and they help me, but just seeing that and being with someone in a woman perspective will help me understand what I will be facing in the future and the pros to that as well. Right. So it, instead of like making it so broad, I have the possibility to understand what I can bring to the table with that type of mentorship.
Yeah, I love that. Men are great too, right? I've had a lot of really great men mentors in my career and so
Exactly.
incredibly grateful for them. But I think there's something different that we walk through as women that it's hard for someone that hasn't or isn't walking through it to kind of share back how to get through it. You have an incredibly positive perspective and I think you've been surrounded with incredibly positive people and I think a lot of that is because you also radiate positivity. So, I think that's good to hear from you that like the mentorship though because it's really important that we as women there's 28% of us so there's less, right? But
Exactly.
if we want more and if we want to be able to kind of replicate and duplicate and make the numbers more, we've got to kind of take time out to really invest in the next generation. We've got to be able to give our time to you guys, open up the platforms and the visibility just to
Mhm.
really even hold your hand and kind of walk you guys through different things. And
Yeah.
also I said this in the beginning but it's true, like as much as we may mentor you guys and you guys learn things from us, we also learn incredible things from you guys. Like at 13 years old, my generation, we were not building tech solutions, like period. We were like playing with Barbie dolls and stuff, you know? So when I watch you guys on stages talking and speaking and pitching real life solutions that are life changing, it's incredible. So that's good to know. So our listeners out there, what they're really looking for is our mentorship. Like, how do we really help guide them through, you know, some of what they will go through, some of how we've made it through. So great to know. Okay. So question for you. If our audience here is mostly women in tech, we've got a lot of allies on. We also have a lot of girls in tech and boys in tech to kind of listen into. So that being said, are there particular networks that if they're listening that you would suggest that maybe they really get involved with? Because I feel like it does go back to community, right? Like who are you connecting with? I mean, to even find mentors or things like that. Do you have any for that kind of girls and boys in tech age networks that you would suggest to them?
Well, obviously there is the Tech for All club at VHS, and that's always been like a great opportunity just like getting introduced to tech and seeing what it means. But having like a more personal communication or like an experience with a mentor, I would suggest like going to competitions and really like putting yourself out there. Because when I went to the Power BI hackathon all the way in July, I met Mr. Higgins. He was one of the judges, and I still email him periodically, and he still follows up with me. And he is a mentor to me in the business aspect. So, two things, go ahead and put yourself out there in competitions. Like, literally, just Google things up, find people, and just ask them because the worst thing they can say is no. And if you don't ask them, you already have a no. And then second of all, when you do meet them, don't be scared and don't stop yourself from thinking that you don't deserve them because they probably went through this when they were your age as well. So I feel like confidence also takes a really big part when you're meeting someone new, especially someone with more experience in technology.
I love that. Okay, this is my least favorite time of every episode. We're coming up towards the end, but we have one final question that we always ask every person we have on the show. And it's a two-part question. The first part is, what legacy do you hope to leave? So I know you're young, but I think the reality of, regardless of where you are age-wise or in your journey, knowing what you're wanting to leave behind as a legacy is really important. So that's the first one. What legacy do you hope to leave behind? And the second part of that is, if you could give one piece of advice to our audience, what would it be?
So like you said, I am 15, but I feel like so Deerthi, that's my name, and a lot of people don't have the name Deerthi, right? And many times my parents have told me, "Oh my God, Deerthi, like you have such a unique name." And I'm saying this because when after I am gone, I really want that name to be more popular because I want to leave a legacy to show that Deerthi, an innovative name, right? It's a new name, can sustain just by this person's actions and what this person put into the world. In a technological perspective, I really want to put into the making of a community in technology. I feel like technology has always been like one person sitting at a computer, but I feel like the best tech and the best companies are created by not just leaders, but being able to be part of a whole. And wherever I go or wherever I go after VHS, I want to be able to create something that people will look back into and be like, she was a good leader or she created something that sustained because she did it with people, not just computers.
I love that. I love the root of everything that you've said and said today is about relationships. Okay, what's our one piece of advice you'd give us?
If I had one piece of advice to everyone, I have this one quote and I have it everywhere. I don't know exactly how it goes, but it says something like, you will never know how far you can go unless you go too far. So I feel like we should never think that we're gonna burn ourselves out or we're not gonna do like we're gonna something bad's gonna happen. I would tell everyone who's listening that go for it. I know there's something in your mind. The only way you're gonna feel happy is if you do your fullest extent, go to your fullest extent on it because you have that passion, you have that love. And even if you go too far, at least now you'll know where you should stop.
I love that so much. You are so incredible. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule. I know you've got a lot going on. We could hear in kind of some of what you're working on, the community and school and all that. So thank you so much for joining us. To our listeners, as usual, at the end of the episode, Deerthi's information from a LinkedIn perspective, you can go out. She's pretty active there. Also, reach out to me if you're ever interested in helping support or plug in to what her and her peers are doing in this community. It's incredible. But to our listeners, again, none of this happens without you. So thank you so much for listening, liking, subscribing. Continue to do so. We have a lot in store for you. Till we see you again.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Women in Tech Trailblazers podcast. Thanks for being here. If something resonated with you, please share this episode with your friends, your colleagues, or anyone you know that needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to catch what's next. We'll be back soon with more real stories and honest conversations. Until then, keep showing up and let's keep making space at the table.